Welcome to Fire Engineering Radio and to our show Pride and Ownership, the Love for the Job. I'm your host, Chief Rick Lasky, and we've been talking in the past here about some great things that have been going on all over North America in the fire service, and we've got some absolutely wonderful things coming up. We're going to mention that a little bit later. A lot of great conferences out there, a lot of good things going on. We're getting all set and psyched for FDIC coming up in Indy. That is the greatest show on earth, man. I'm telling you, if you, we're going to visit on this a little bit later, but if you've never been there, now's the time, man. You're missing out on something very special. I think last year we had over 27,000 attendees. Absolutely incredible. Everything you want to know about the fire service, not just tactics and strategy. I know that's important, but everything you want to know or anything you'd want to buy or look at, any instructor, any resource, anything you need, it's right there for you. It's an absolutely incredible experience. I've never had anybody come away from there saying it was a waste of their time. The biggest thing is just trying to get back there and make things happen. We've been doing a couple different things here with the show. We jumped off after the first one with how it all got started. We got into 4 different sessions with Professor Glenn, and I appreciate all the emails that you've been sending. That guy is absolutely incredible. Glenny is just what a prince, and just a wealth of knowledge, not just in the fire service, but oh my gosh, in the fire service, absolutely incredible. Last time we were together, we talked about the firefighter and what it takes to do this job, this very special job, whether you're a volunteer or paid firefighter, it doesn't matter. We're going to get Battalion Chief Jerry Wells on here, hopefully next show, to talk about his article he did for Fire Engineering about the rookie firefighter and expectations, something for a lot of our new firefighters to zero in on. And also, if you're an officer or a firefighter and you've got someone coming up to you saying, what do I tell these people when they walk in? How do I prepare? What do I have to do from, high school all the way up to when you're walking down the street to the firehouse? It's a great 2-pager that he did for you, so you need to jump on that. Today we're extremely fortunate for a couple reasons. One is I've got my boss on the show, Chief Bobby Halton, the editor-in-chief from Fire Engineering Magazine. He and Eric Schlett and then his cast of absolutely wonderful people run FDIC, and not just in Indy. He can talk about that later all over the world. But not only is he my boss, he's my friend and he's my brother, and I absolutely love him to death. And we're gonna visit on a couple things today with Bobby. Pride and ownership, where we're going, where it's been, what he's seeing his travels all over North America, and go from there. Bobby, welcome, buddy.
Well, thanks for having me, Rick. I appreciate it. And it would be hard for anybody to say that they were Rick's boss. I just kind of follow him around, carry his coat.
No, that's not true. You know what? And I have there's a difference, and Bobby, you can echo this, I'm sure, there's a difference between a boss and a boss. I mean, I've worked for some bosses in my life that were absolutely incredible. In the fire service, I think when you get away from it, Bobby, in the private sector, well, that's not a boss. He's a supervisor and all this, and I understand that. But in the fire service, when you talk about working for the boss or a good boss, it's like John Sulkles always taught me that when you call someone a prince, that's the highest compliment you can give someone that's saying that they're a prince. Same thing when you work for a good boss, and I've got some great ones here. My boss, Claude King, the city manager, my mayor, Gene Carey, are awesome. But Bobby, working for you with the magazine and with the show, and I know this is going to sound kiss-up-ish, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm not that way, but I wanted to first off thank you for the opportunity that you've given me to do this, because, buddy, I'm telling you, Bobby, I'm getting bombarded. It's awesome with emails from folks just saying keep it going or thanks, and a couple of guys I think are writing their college paper after what Glenn got with them, but I can't thank you enough, buddy.
Oh no, the pleasure's all ours, Ricky, and I know the guys out there love it. I hear a lot from different firemen around the country who tune in, and they let me know, hey, keep doing more of these. And Rick and I have been trying to get other guys to step up and do shows, because there's other folks have expertise that Rick and I clearly don't, and they're fire engineering guys, and it's interesting. People, it's like talk radio. Guys want to hear people's opinions. They want to know what's guys and gals. They want to know what's going on and what folks are thinking. So, thank you for kickstarting this thing and showing everybody just how successful it can be and just how valuable it is to the firefighters out there, because it really is tremendously valuable to everybody. Everybody seems to really love them, and keep whatever you're doing it right, pal. as usual.
Bobby, I'm telling you, you're exactly right. There are so many firefighters, that the men and women that, nowadays with iPods and with everything else that's going on and recording, and while they're working out, driving their Ford F-1000 home or their little battery operator. What was that car I used to have?
I still have it, my Toyota Echo.
Yeah, the little
Shriner car. You called it
the Shriner car. The Shriner car.
Hey, 45 to 48 miles to the gallon, buddy.
The Shriner car, that fits in the back of Salka's pickup truck.
I'm telling you, Salka laughed so hard when he saw that thing. He told me, "You're not driving me around in that." I said, "You darn right I am, pal."
Well, but Bobby, it's true though. I mean, guys are and gals, men and women are out there. They're listening. They want they and you know what? They're tired of the. There's some programs out there, not just another blue suit. When you go to a lecture, they're tired of the. I don't know if it would be PAT or the canned programs or the. And I've told people, Bobby, over and over again. 28 years now for me, and I don't give a. Let me see how I can say this so I don't violate anything. I don't care. I don't give a darn anymore who I offend. If you've heard me say this before, Bobby. If I get a chief mad at me because I just went off on chiefs that don't care about their guys in the department, so be it. If I get a firefighter mad because I'm talking about slugs because he or she is one, then they need to change. They need to come back. If I got a company officer gets upset because I'm going off about company officers that don't care about their men and women and don't want to protect them, I think people are ready to hear the real stuff. Like, you've been doing it for years. Billy G's been doing it for years. Skip Coleman's been. You mentioned it would take us an hour just to list the cast of characters, the wealth of knowledge and experience that fire engineering's got doing stuff for them. I think they're ready, Bobby. I think they're tired of here's an answer to make you happy, the politically correct stuff.
No, I think you're exactly right, Rick. I think that there's a lot of guys out there that are. Have a message. Whether or not the message is valid anymore is really a whole other question. I mean, I think that guys fail to keep pace with what's going on, and one of the things that Rick and I have been out there talking about is that things really have gotten substantially better. I mean, there's a lot of people who have a vested interest in you thinking that the world is still falling apart around our ears, and that Armageddon's coming in terms of the fire service. But the reality is we've made a lot of strides in the last 30 years, and we've got a lot to be proud of, and that message needs to get out there that we are doing better in just about every aspect of our job. We're making tremendous strides, and we're doing things in a much more careful and a much more calculated way, and I think that's something to be proud of.
Well, and the fire service is still as special as it's ever been. But, once in a while, Bobby, I think it's the peaks and valleys that we just need to remind some folks just how special it is. I mean, for example, this last weekend, I took my wife and my baby girl. She's 12 going on 13 to Manhattan. We went to Times Square and we stayed in a hotel right there. It was time for me to take my two girls, enjoy New York City. We went to 3 plays, which I'm just hooked on the theater, and let them go shopping for purses. But here's the thing, the kicker about this is when I didn't know where to go, when I didn't know what hotel to stay in, I called the 9th Battalion. Actually, John Salka did it for me first, and I talked to the guys at the firehouse in the 9th Battalion there. I think it's 54 engine 4 truck. That very, very tragic time during 9/11, obviously, if you know the history there.
Right.
And the guy's like, no, we do the inspections at the place next door is a good place and all this. And, I think when my daughter travels for softball, Bobby, and we book hotels, if I'm not sure about where we're going, I call the firehouse. Hey, which is a good that's that family that we talk about. That's kind of like, I mean, aside from the Freemasons or whatever, there's not. I don't know. When you talk about brotherhoods, it's hard to find another one like we've got in the fire service.
No, you're exactly right. And a lot of the guys coming in, the younger guys, they say, well, I don't really have that feeling yet. Well, it's like any other family and any other relationship. They develop, they grow over time. If it's your first year and you're feeling like maybe it's not as tight as you'd like it to be, give it time. You got to be part of that tightness. You have to wait, and some of that'll come, and it'll grow, and you'll recognize it when it starts coming. Because every now and then I hear guys, Rick and I receive a ton of email and a ton of correspondence from folks. And recently a young man wrote me and he said, the brotherhood just isn't there anymore. I said, well, how long have you been on the job? And it was like 3 years. And I said, son, you got a long way to go, and hang on, and if you're not feeling it, what are you doing to create it? What have you done to for somebody else on your job? How have you helped a fellow firefighter? How have you stepped up? And if you haven't done that, then there's an issue. Another young fellow in California the other day told me, he said, we had drill the other day. These two young guys came down and they didn't have their gear on, and I couldn't believe it. This generation's just no good. And I said, well, are you the senior man? And he said, well, what's that mean? I explained senior man. He hadn't heard the term. I explained what a senior man was. He said, well, I guess, yeah, that would be me. I said, then you didn't do your job, because you should have told those young men how they're supposed to show up for drill. Because if they didn't know, it's not their fault. They didn't know.
We haven't been telling them, and I know I'm behind on a handful of a whole duffel bag full of articles for you, buddy. And I'm sorry, but
you don't really want to go there on the radio, do you, Rick?
No, I'm sorry. But Bobby, I've got one about 3/4 of the way written for you that I want to run past you, and it's called "Break Glass in Case of Fire." And do you remember the poster? Maybe, I don't know if it was the 70s. Remember, I think the NFPA put it out. It was a big full-size poster, and it had a huge fire alarm box with a piece of glass that break glass in case of fire. And inside there was a fully bunked out firefighter holding an axe and extinguisher sitting sideways in a bucket. Like, if you have a fire, break glass, this firefighter's going to jump out and fight the fire. I think, Bobby, a lot of our officers have gotten to the point where once this firefighter, this young man or woman is out of the academy, they think they're ready to go, and they're not. It's up to the rest of us to do what they did for you and I way back when and get us to the next level. It's not just break glass and here they are. And that's what I titled the article, is Break Glass in Case of Fire. It's not the Generation X, Y, Elemental P, their parents' fault, the .com firefighters, all this. That's at the base of a lot of things, but where are you going to take them? You know what I'm saying? And we're not telling them, Bobby. We're not telling them put their gear on before you come. It's easy to complain, but what are you doing to change it? Like you said, a young firefighter.
Yeah, if you're not part of the solution, the old line is you're part of the problem. And it's an interesting phenomenon that guys, over time, history of mankind, you go back to Hesiod in 400 AD, where he was commenting on the next generation of Greeks didn't have what it took, and he's worried about his nation, and ruin and darnation were coming their way, and blah, blah, blah. And it was funny because he could have been sitting at the table at Station 3, over a cup of Joe, and he could have had 20 years in the job, and, for all the world, the way he sounded, or he could have been sitting over a cup of Joe at 6 years on the job. So it's a natural inclination for people to think that the next generation isn't where they were. But the onus is on us as the caretakers of this profession, as the guys and gals that are going to create the next generation of leaders and the next generation of firefighters, to pass on every little piece of information you have. And part of it is just the oral tradition isn't as strong as it used to be in society in general. We put iPods on when we walk down the road, and we have our radios cranked up in our cars driving by ourselves. So a lot of it's just learning how to re-engage in conversation like we're having now. And I think in the fire service it's still alive and well and getting better and better. I saw a calendar the other day, and it said it was interesting with a firefighter calendar. And
what kind of calendar was it? I know what kind of calendars you have. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's a firefighter calendar.
Do you have a lot of pictures with people with clothes on, or just?
Hey. Well, that's my private calendar.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
This is my office calendar.
Okay.
Which is all fire trucks.
And that's why I'm joking, because if people knew us, they're like, if it's Lasky and Halton, I know what kind of calendars they have. It's not, this or that, or, it's fire trucks, it's boats, it's stations, and all.
Yeah, it's like our poor wives.
A bunch of fire buffs.
Yeah, our poor wives. We have more junk in the attic than that's fire related than you can shake a stick at, because our wives have drawn the line. That's it.
Well, real quick, then, and I know you're going to finish up with that, but here's the question for you: do you have? Because I know I don't. Do you have a shirt in your closet that doesn't have a fire logo on it, besides the shirt you wear with a tie?
No, and
that's what I thought. Yeah,
and my wife always screams because I come back from any trip. And Rick and I are going to get into this in a few minutes. We're going to talk about our travels, but and I just came back from teaching in Boston last week. I was there for 4 days with their command staff, and I don't take money because I'm lucky enough to have a great job, and a lot's been given to me. So I speak for the Ray Downey Foundation. So these guys ask me, what do you want? You're not taking our money. What would you like? I want a T-shirt. I want another T-shirt. And the minute I got home, I've got these 4 Boston Fire Department T-shirts, all variations on a theme. And my wife looks at it and just shakes her head like,
"Are you regulated? See, for every T-shirt I bring home, I have to get rid of 4."
Oh no, not yet. But she does.
We're out of room.
But she does have them in those cardboard box cases you can get. I do have several of those.
Well, and she's the one she likes the most. Like, she was scared when I brought it home. I did a program up near Seattle, north of there, near Marysville for Martin McFalls. What a great guy! I think he's had you out there. Martin, just Marysville, Washington, wonderful group of people. That whole area, but the Puget Sound Fools, their logo is a clown with a Halligan bar. And it's like Homie the Clown with a Halligan bar, but it's a scary clown. I mean, she goes, "You're not really going to wear that. That's kind of scary." I think it's kind of cool. She goes, you and your friggin' T-shirts. I said, well, it's just, that's me. If I retire, I'll be messed up because I won't have a wardrobe.
And I like the real logo ones. I'm not big on I'm not real big on the saying ones and such,
Right.
But I love the department logos. I just love them. But anyway, this calendar that I was looking at, Ricky's, had a quote on it. It said, "While on probation, keep your mouth shut and your eyes open," kind of thing. And it was actually a buddy of mine they were quoting. And I thought, I think just the opposite. When you're on probation, if you got a question, that's the time to ask it.
Oh yeah.
Step up. Don't be afraid to say, "Hey, boss," or "Pal," or "Excuse me." I don't. Why are we doing that? Or where'd that come from? Because that's the gig. I mean, if you don't ask, if you don't know, that's okay. That's
Bobby,
absolutely okay.
You've met you know all my guys here, but you've met Dean Felposh is the chief's aide on C shift, and now Gary Apples on B, and Robert Oves on A, and the other guys that run there before they got promoted.
I know all your guys.
Well, when they went to ride, and when they did their on duty ride out program with John in the 18th, Dean called me on a Saturday night, and I said, "How's it going, buddy?" He goes, "Well, we haven't had any sleep. We had 9 calls with the battalion after midnight alone." I go, "Yeah, next time you have 2 calls midnight, you go home saying, 'I'm tired, we were up all night.' You'll know what up all night is." But he says, "Well, 2 things. 2 things, Chief." He says, "One is you said going up here, you guys are really going to get to see the brotherhood in action." He goes, "I was kind of offended because I thought we're brothers, we're there," and they are. These guys are wonderful here. Texas is chock full of great firefighters, but he said, there's just something different. He said, "I'm ashamed of myself." I said, "Dean, why?" He goes, "Their rookie came in the door here. Instead of the keep your mouth shut and don't speak unless you're spoken to, like you just said, Bobby, and just sit off in the corner and just I'll come and get you when I need you." He said they come in and they make they treat them differently. He goes, "I'm kind of ashamed of how we used to treat our rookies." He said, "Well, hey, Rook, sit over here, dude." He goes, "They take them under their wing. They start mentoring them. They show them. They train them. Now there's certain things obviously new firefighter's got to demonstrate to the rest of the crew to show that he or she really wants to be part of that crew, and show their devotion and their love for the job." But he said, "There's no goofiness. I mean, it was just it was something I don't know how to describe it." And I said, "I know exactly what you're talking about." So no, yeah, I mean, telling them to sit around and not say nothing, I agree with you. That's not the way to go.
Yeah, we're very blessed to have really motivated people that come on the job, and that there's no silly questions. And one of the things Rick and I wanted to talk about today, and again, thanks for having me on, but one of the things we wanted to talk about a little bit today was the fact that we are out there all the time, and things are getting better, and we have a tremendous opportunity as we're going around to make great friends and meet all these wonderful people. And it seems to me that it's really almost a renaissance happening among the firefighters to put our focus back on our job, put our focus back on the fact that we serve the public, and it's just really, to me, it's just exciting to be part of it. And I thank God every day that He gave me this chance, and I got friends like Ricky and John and the other guys that help me do what we do. It's for me, it's just absolutely a wonderful time to be in the American Fire Service.
Well, Bobby, you talked before about, we've said before, the fire service, you have this window of the world. You're on the outside of the fishbowl looking in, because in the morning you can see someone, unfortunately, sleeping on cardboard you're trying to help that's under an overpass, to someone's a millionaire in the afternoon whose daughter just try to commit suicide to everything in between, businesses that succeed, that fail, people going through. I mean, that's what you see, because that's what you deal with. We're in the business of helping folks and making a difference in their lives. But you came up with something we were talking earlier, and I think it's awesome. I think you referred to it as the view from 29,000 feet. When you had that ability to fly all over the North America and visit with firefighters like you're talking about, Bobby, this view you get to see some things that scare you to death, but then you get to see all this just incredible stuff going on, and firefighters that are just, they want to just sit around the firehouse and have coffee and talk shop and talk about the job and talk about stuff. You're right. It's absolutely, what a privilege and an honor it is to zip all over the place and visit with people.
And you're exactly right, Rick. And you and I have just been blessed by this fire service to be allowed to go out and meet everybody and be on the road and have a chance to visit in their firehouses and their conferences. And we were laughing, and I said, it's the view from 29,000 feet, 31,000 feet, because that's where the pilot always tells you, we'll be cruising at 31,000.
We reached our cruising altitude of 33,000 feet.
You can turn your computer on. So Rick and I hear that about 3 times a week, and it was funny to me. And one of the funny things is, and I love, please don't hesitate to ask us to come to your town and teach. And guys always say, isn't it great traveling? And when you get to, I told Rick, I said, you see the hotel, you see the hall you're speaking in, and you see the airport.
Oh, well, now you've been, we're going again, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina Firefighter Association. I always say this because it's true. John has always said it. We'll sit somewhere, and I know I talk about John. He's my best bud too, but he'll sit there and say, can you believe this? Can you believe how blessed we are? Look at this. We're sitting around with the greatest people on the face of the earth, visiting, talking shop, having supper. Is this awesome? South Carolina, we were there, and beautiful Myrtle Beach. I mean, first thing, I gotta go to Myrtle Beach where we teach. Oh, how was the ocean? And you know what? The ocean's beautiful. The golf courses are wonderful. I got in late. I checked in my room. We worked on our PowerPoint till about 1 a.m. Got up, taught all day. We went and did all good stuff, but you're right. You get. It was funny. Chief Brunacini and I were up in Alaska in Fairbanks, doing. They had the conference. They actually combined a conference, Bobby, up to the fire chiefs and the firefighters, which is pretty cool. The 2 state associations, and we were going out to dinner with Buddy Lane, the chief of North Pole, Alaska. What another great guy.
Yeah, I'm doing that one this summer. I'm heading out to Alaska. They've got me on their list. I'm coming out.
You know Kenny Gabriel, chief in Coeur d'Alene.
Sure.
First time Kenny says, you are going to love those people. Those people in Alaska are just absolutely amazing. And I'm telling you, from the time the wheels hit the runway to the time, they were awesome. And, you're talking about going out and doing things, and people, we were driving in the truck, and people said, did you see anything? And I said, yeah, Chief Brunacini and Buddy and I, Chief Lane, we were in his truck, and Bruno looked over and said, what's that? So that's the Alaska pipeline. We get out, we looked up at the pipe, got back in the truck, and kept talking fire stuff. That's about, right? That's, it's not about, it's not I don't want to go spend time away from my family to walk on the beach without them. I want them there. When I'm out, and even though, isn't it, when you're done teaching, I know you're pooped, but isn't it just kind of a happy, it's an exhilarating, I don't know. I'm wrung out by the time I'm done, Bobby, and I know you're the same way. But man, you feel good.
Yeah, and I'm not very deep like Rick. I'm pretty much just real simple stuff. I do the light lifting.
Does that mean I'm a BSer, or is that
no? You got a great shtick. We were the 2 of us were just in Oregon together, and he and John were doing their deal, their
vaudeville.
Yeah, their vaudeville act, and I was doing my drift into failure tactics stuff, and how to avoid being a victim of drift into failure.
I thought you were talking about our presentation, drift into failure. Oh, but go on.
No, that's total and complete failure. I'm just kidding. No, we had a great time, but it's just fun, and you're up there and you're thinking, holy mackerel, the fact that we get to do this, and the fact that folks are so kind to us, and for me, just thank you to everybody that's had us out there in the last couple of years, and thank you for supporting, for me, Courage and Valor.
Well, and real quick, I wrote that down again because I wanted to ask you about it anyway, but I put a big star next to it. Bobby, give us the overview. A lot of people, when I talk about the fact that the DVD that you guys were so nice to do with the Pride and Ownership speech back from February 2001, if they flip it over, they look, it says the authors donated proceeds to the Chief Ray Downey Courage and Valor Fund.
That's right.
And so when I tell people, look, if you're buying one of those DVDs, I'm not making a dime on it or a penny. That's all going to the Hey, will you kind of give us a little bit of a history, how that got started? I know Mr. Bianchini is just, the more you get to know the guy, the more you realize he's about family. But explain this whole process with, after our good friend Chief, Downey, left us on 9/11, how that all came about and what that foundation does.
What the Ray Downey Courage and Valor Foundation was founded after 9/11 to keep the memory alive. And we always say never forgetting means never forgetting. But with Courage and Valor, what we've done is we've created a foundation where no one makes a dime. And Mr. Bianchini funded it initially with, I think, $25,000. And then he also funded it with his bank that handles all of the foundation activities for free. So the foundation, no one has ever made 10 cents. In other words, this is not a foundation that has 6 people working for it who are traveling anywhere. No one makes a dime. And every year at FDIC, it's up to $35,000 now. And as a matter of fact, the person who won was selected this morning. And I'm going to let the press releases and all that handle that. But we selected an individual this morning to be the 2007 winner of the Ray Downey Courage and Valor Award. And he'll get $35,000 to that individual.
Wow, it was 25 before, wasn't it?
Yes, and this year we took it to 35 because we were able to, we've done so well in our fundraising. So Rick has donated all the proceeds from his Pride and Ownership CD. Billy Goldfeder from Changes, he's donated all of the proceeds from that CD. And then anytime that I speak, I ask for $1,000 a day, which is extremely low compared to.
Yes,
that's a fraction of what a lot of guys get. But and I'm not saying that I'm as good as the other guys that charge better money. Obviously, you can get better speakers, but that money goes right to Courage and Valor. So, and we've been raising money that way. And last year we probably did 30 of those shows, everywhere from North Dakota and Portland and Boise and you name it, we were there, and Vegas, and we just go everywhere. And this weekend we're going to do South Bend. Friday I'll do South Bend, Indiana. On Saturday I'll be in Fort Wayne, and on Sunday I do Missouri Fire School. Next weekend after that I'll be in Seattle at Graham Fire with Oscar Espinosa and his guys, and then I'll be in South Carolina on the 8th and 9th of March, and then I actually take a couple weeks off before FDIC. But right after FDIC, we go right back out on the road and start doing it all over again. So sometimes it's 3 shows a week, but usually it's 1 show a week. And our goal is to get to $1 million. And when we finally get $1 million in our Courage and Valor Foundation, then every year a firefighter will receive $50,000 in perpetuity for the rest of time. It'll never stop. The fund will be self-perpetuating, and someone will get $50,000 a year from now till they don't have money anymore, I guess.
And when you say a firefighter, I think it's important to explain, who the individuals are that are awarded that award.
Well, for example, 2 of the best examples we have, one would be last year's award winner was Howie Carpluck, who was a lieutenant with the New York City Fire Department. A floor collapsed under Howie when he was on a 63 engine while they were actually advancing on a fire which was pretty much knocked down. The building owner had done some illegal alterations to the floor supports and the flooring, which was completely undetectable just by a visual of the fire conditions in the floor. So the floor gave out and collapsed, and Captain Howie Carpluck and firefighter Kevin Riley tragically lost their lives. But Howie fell on top of Kevin. Kevin was a probationary firefighter, former United States Marine Corps sergeant, as a matter of fact. And Kevin, unbeknownst to Howie, perished pretty much in the fall. But as Howie was being rescued, his priority was to the people rescuing him, save my Proby, he's right below me, save my Proby. And he struggled to try to help them, and Howie the next day succumbed to his injuries as well. So because he died literally struggling to save Kevin, he won that award posthumously, and check was awarded to his wife and children. How he had 2 children. The year before that, it was a young man named Sean Neary who survived, but who saved a man and was unable to save the man's son in a trench collapse, and for the actions he took at that trench collapse. And so those are the kinds of men and women that get nominated, and anyone can nominate any member for 2008. The form will be out in the April, May, and June editions of Fire Engineering and on our website, and you can nominate all the way up to December someone who does something in your organization that you feel would be the kind of thing that Ray Downey would have done. And that's how we select those people.
Well, and you're talking about, and we could go on for hours about Chief Downey. Ray is just incredible. When I need some pepping up, when I need a kick in the ass, I watch the tribute Fire Engineering did to him. I have that tape memorized, and there's the part where his son jumps on him after winning the wrestling meet. That just, and
Chuck and Joe are on the selection committee for the award. So
a couple of gentlemen. That whole family's just incredible.
And they're both currently battalions with the New York City Fire Department. So the selection committee is really the Downey family, and then Mr. Biacchini and our chief officers here from Penwell.
And see, those are the kinds of things that when you see someone, and you do it, the departments that are great, they jump up to do a fundraiser for someone who's fallen in their department, or someone with a sick kid within their family. And firefighters, especially volunteers, don't make jack. I'm sorry, there I am again saying it. But whether it's teachers, police officers, firefighters, 3 of the most important professions in the world, and they get jack. And it kind of I don't know if you remember the contest. My wife, Jamie, and she's my best buddy, and I had played a lottery ticket trick on her that she never forgave me for, so she's always been trying to get me back. And she's just always waiting for that right moment to do something. And but it was one of these things where, if you remember, there was a contest at a radio show here. We had an arsonist run all night, 13 fires. I got home up all night. She runs into the bathroom 6 in the morning. Here, answer the phone. Hurry up, get on the phone. I'm thinking there's something wrong at the firehouse. I answer it. They said, "Is this Rick Lasky?" I said, "Yeah, good morning. This is Jeff and Anna Mix 102. You're our finalists in our Guys Who Hate Chick Flicks movies." And I looked at her, and she's staring at me, and she's just looking, smiling. I went, He goes, "Well, great, we're on the air, and now where do you work?" I said, City of Louisville. He goes, "No, I understand you work for the fire department. What do you do?" I said, "I'm a firefighter." He goes, "No, I understand you're the fire chief." I said, "I'm still a firefighter." Well, the contest, Bobby, if you remember, was to go to the Grapevine Mills Mall, the major mall here, 7 in the morning on a Saturday, and there was 3 finalists. You sat in these recliners, which you won right away. You had to be reclining. You had to watch the movie Beaches.
Oh, my God.
With Barbara Hershey and Bette Midler. Without falling asleep, without closing your eyes, you had to stay reclined. The only thing you could have is milk or turkey sandwiches, or some water. If you closed your eyes for longer than 30 seconds, you were out. If you weren't reclined, you were out. 45 minutes in the movie, the first guy, he quit. He said, "That's it, I'm dragging my chair out of here, I'm done." So it left me with this very young man from a banking institution. Nothing wrong with bankers, but he sat there the whole time complaining about his BMW and the fact that, you're making 6 figures, this and that. And I'm thinking the whole long about one of my guys who's got a baby that's in the hospital. We're doing a fundraiser trying to help them, cover days off and sick time. Because I was going to walk out my chair too, and I made up my mind I'm not letting them beat me. So 36 hours later, 15 and a half runnings of the movie, I won. I won the big screen TV. I said, you know what? I ain't letting, and volunteers, Bobby, they're out there doing it for nothing. It's still the majority of the fire service. And it's not like it is in the old days where Bobby Halton's hardware store, where Bobby would let them run out when the whistle blew. What I'm saying? People have lost their job.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because my uncle, who was a volunteer firefighter in Cliffside Park, New Jersey, owned Halton's Hardware across the street from the firehouse.
There you go.
And he used to do that.
When the whistle blew.
Anytime I was at Uncle Matt's house, and the whistle blew, I was right behind him. Hey, jump on the truck and go out to a job,
Bobby, I want you, we were talking before about people that speak their mind when it comes to pride and ownership and a love for the job and just doing things right and making a difference. And there's a group called the Baggers.
Yes.
And just kind of a select. There's no secret handshake or anything like that, but it's a select group that I know you and I are honored to be a part of, thanks in part to Chief Brunacini. But what do you, the particular meetings twice a year that they have, where they sit around with no agenda? I love the agenda Bruno puts out or Kathy puts out. Open discussion, break, open discussion, lunch on your own, open discussion. There's no agenda, and yet there's not enough time in the day to talk about everything that guys bring up, and it's like I get more out of that than most things. If you could pick one thing out of a baggers meeting with that group, and I missed the last one, and it kills me. What would you, if you could pick one jewel out of going to that meeting? What does Chief Bobby Halton look for? Like, I can't wait to go because this is what's your favorite part?
What I like about baggers, and it's kind of a weird deal if you've never been to it. It's like the ultimate buffs group. In other words, if you don't want to talk all fire all day and all night, don't come. And this year it was amazing because we had 30 some odd guys. We were in San Diego, and it's guys and gals at all different walks of life. They could be, retired. They could be active. They could be chiefs. They could be folks that aren't in the fire service anymore, but are doing good things. Like guys like me. I'm doing with the magazine now.
Yeah. Well, you're still in the fire. You could get rid of us.
Yeah.
You're still one.
Right. So but I mean, it's that kind of group.
Yeah.
And this year, what was so fascinating about this year is that you go to a lot of the places, and no disrespect, but you hear, oh, this is happening or that's happening, woe with me. There's no woe with me. It's all about solutions. And one guy after another would say, hey, you know what? We thought about ethanol, so this is what we did. We're stockpiling Type B foam. We got this trailer. We put this mix on it. Got with 3 other communities, and in that way we can get enough water. We're going to move 3 pumpers into place if we get an ethanol tank. And the next guy gets up and says, we were having problems with our record management, so here's what we did. We put in this, this system, and this is why it's where, and this is what we paid for. The next guy gets up and he says, you know what? We were having problems with our size up. So you go from, a high-end ethanol discussion where people are talking about the different foams and what's working for them and all the places to get information, to the next guy talking about something to do with communication, and the next guy's talking about company officer. And it's all critical stuff. And then you got Bruno, doing his thing, and sitting next to Bruno, you could have Skip Coleman, who's you couldn't take cerebral and bricks and mortar and get them any closer together. Oh. You'd have an implosion because it's matter and antimatter, and they love each other, and it's that kind of stuff, And then the other part of that I love is that you got to keep moving because the jokes, the minute you open your mouth, everybody's on you.
I remember, I think it was the first one I was at. You came in and you were on a roll, buddy. It was I mean, I had tears. I was laughing so hard, but you know what? That's a nice thing because you check your ego at the door. We don't care really, how much gold you have on. We don't care about what you got on the outside. We're more worried and concerned with what you have on the inside.
Well, Rick, you did tell these guys earlier that when you and I went to Oregon, they actually had to widen the door so the two of us, our egos, could walk through the front door together.
No, I thought that was a fat joke about me again there, buddy.
Whoa, hey, no, I'm backed off on those. You're doing so good, man.
I'm getting there, buddy. I'm getting there.
You're doing good.
Well, and I mentioned this once before. Again, when we get to bounce around, I have the honor. And I know I mentioned this on another show, the honor of being a guest speaker at the Women in the Fire Service Conference coming up after FDIC, and they're combining the Women Fire Chiefs Association together.
Yeah, and
Cheryl
we have a podcast with Cheryl up on our website right now.
Well, and Cheryl, I used to teach with at U of I. She was always, I mean, if I could be in her group, I wanted to be in her group. One of those instructors that I want to be in Cheryl's group. Or if you were picking your team, you said, I want Cheryl to be in mine. And she's an officer. She's great. She's out there in Arizona now. And then Erica Nelson from Portland. And just so many great folks there. And I'm looking so forward to it because there's another progressive group that, that my daughter, she decides to not do the FBI thing and gets back into the right track where she's not against FBI, but she wants to be a firefighter. that she'll have some role models, like my good friend Lisa Belanger up in Vaughan, Canada, which I've told people before. If my daughter's going to pick a firefighter to be a role model after, a female that's her. I want you to be like Lisa. I want you to be like Eric. I want you to be like Cheryl. There's some great role models, and that's another great conference coming up. And actually, speaking of Arizona, Terry, you remember Terry McGrath, my bomb and arson chief, with ATF, went out and worked the Super Bowl, which it's funny because people said, "Oh God, he gets to be at the Super Bowl. How wonderful! Did he get to see the players?" Bobby, he went from the PGA to the basketball game to Obama coming in to Bill Clinton coming in to the NFL headquarters to VIP stuff to the stadium back. I mean, running their tails off. But what an incredible experience. One of the things he said, the coolest thing about it, he couldn't stop talking about, like, Glendale's Training Academy and the firefighters. And Terry makes his way around, does a lot of stuff. But here's another guy just going on about the people that are out there and what they're doing.
And if you want to see a look at the Glendale Academy, go to our blog, and there's some video of Bruno doing a tactics club. I was a guest speaker at Bruno's Tactics Club that he does at the Glendale Academy every month or so. And on the 12th of March, if you're in Arizona and you'd like to come to the Tactics Club, it's open to anybody and it's free. It'll be Bruno, myself, and Dan Majikowski on March the 12th. And Dan is the director of the Burn Laboratory for NIST. So we're going to be talking about fire behavior and modeling and tactics. So at the Glendale Fire Academy. So it's funny as you get old, like Rick and I. You just seem to travel around talking about fighting fire. But
would you rather sit around and talk about that than some? I don't know if I could live another life where I'm not. People say, don't you ever get tired about talking about the fire service? And I go, no. No. I'm sorry.
I always feel bad on these conversations in these radio shows because I feel like the guys must think we're idiots.
No, but you know what? Jokingly they may, but Bobby, I think the people that are listening are the people that when I was in just outside Charlotte, North Carolina, at the Gaston Community College, you ought to see that training facility. I don't know if you've been there yet, but another great place. Glendale, Terry just went on and on about that, and it's just, I wanted to kind of lead into another area here as well. I've been talking about the website. When we talk about training, we talk about getting into this job and buffing and all that. You can go out and take your pictures, which is awesome. I always think you should go watch other people's fires. Just don't be critical. Stand there and learn and watch. But there's a million websites out there to do things with. But there's only a handful of really good quality ones. And I go on and on about fire engineering and you can spend literally, I mean, if you could sit there and get into it and be done with it in a day, you're better than I am. And I can point and click pretty quick.
Well, Rick,
what's going on with the website?
Just so you know, we've got some really exciting things coming up, and within about a week or so, we're going to open up our new community site within fire engineering, which will have the ability to upload video. We're going to have discussion forums in there. We're going to have people moderating it. We're going to have a Mayday column where we have a guy who's kind of a Mayday aficionado, and he's going to moderate that. And there's going to be moderated discussion in there. Because one of the things we found from guys that like to go on and discuss fire, like Rick and I and John and all our friends, is that in some of the forums where they're not moderated, there's a lot of hateful talk, and there's a lot of bashing, and there's a lot of critiquing. And we're not, so naive as to think that there may not be places where folks aren't going to disagree, and we're going to welcome disagreement. But it's going to be disagreement that's done as professionals. It's going to be disagreement that's done in a positive, forward-thinking tone, and it's going to be moderated. So if somebody puts up a bad word, or if somebody becomes derogatory or inflammatory, we're going to pull their posts and their ability to post. But it's going to be a very, very. We've done a lot of homework on this, and we've spent a great deal of time on Fire Engineering's site to try to find out what you really want. And so we're building this with the firefighter in mind. You'll be able to navigate it quickly. You'll be able to upload quickly. You'll be able to communicate instantaneously with one another in a much more fluid way than you've ever seen before. We've gotten with some of the best people in the world who manage this stuff, and they're really taking our folks through it carefully. And we've got training minutes up there where we're doing brief 3 to 5 minute videos where people like Mike Campo and McAvoy and Dave Dalrymple and 3 minutes, and then watch them, and then go out in the drill field and do them yourselves. Or
so is there ever an excuse why you can't train? We don't have time. Is there ever an excuse that validates we don't have time?
Not with fireengineering.com. If you are at a lack in the morning, just go to our website. The drills are there. You can read about drills to do to recreate. You can view drills to recreate. We have tons and tons of video with interviews with Rick Lasky and Billy Goldfeder and Dr. Dennis O'Neill, who, by the way, if you're religious, and I make no bones about it, I'm an actual practicing Catholic. If you think about it, say a prayer for Dennis O'Neill. Dennis lost his brother-in-law, who was 43 years old, yesterday evening. And so Denny and I were supposed to be teaching together in Fort Wayne. Dennis will not be able to make the appearance in Fort Wayne this weekend. He'll be burying his brother-in-law.
What a good man. And he was very kind to share with me one of the Joey Barrow story. You know, the
That's
whole
right.
About who are you going to help today and where can they be tomorrow.
Right.
Just what you were talking about earlier about helping those young firefighters, Bobby, and making sure they do things.
I guess to try to bring together for Rick what I was very honored that Rick asked me to be here, is that I found a philosophy a couple of years ago by some folks called the Arbinger Institute, and it has to do with what's called the choice. And every minute of every day of your life, no matter how busy you are, or how important you are, or how important you aren't, you have a choice to either help someone or not help them. Because all day long, unless you're a hermit or a physicist locked in a laboratory somewhere, you're interfacing with people, human beings, and they have needs and desires, and so do you, and you can't do everything for everybody. But when you should, you know it. And when you don't, you not only do yourself a disservice, but you do them a disservice, and it really hurts you more. And the more you do, the more that comes back, and the happier you'll be, because it's all about being a firefighter is all about being right with people. It's not about T-shirts and tags, and Rick and I love all that stuff for our rigs, and we love all
challenge coins. Love the challenge coins.
Love the coins. We love all of it. But what's so important is the choices we make every second of every day, like Ward Parker did last February, and the anniversary that's coming up, and so I'll speak about it when he saved my son in Aspen, Colorado. Off-duty fireman from Eden Prairie, Wisconsin, and for the rest of my life, I'll be indebted to the guy who saved my 17-year-old son after he took a 50-foot plunge snowboarding and would have died in the snows of Aspen, Colorado, had it not been for Ward Parker. And he didn't know I was a firefighter's kid. He didn't know me. The funniest part about it, he had no idea who I was, which is great, and he didn't care. And that's happening every day. And to every one of you out there, my heartfelt thanks and my love and admiration and for what you're doing on duty, off duty. But every second of every day you have a choice. And pride and ownership and courage and valor, and Rick's the spokesperson for pride and ownership, and I'm the spokesperson for courage and valor. All those foundations and all those programs, what they're about is a choice. And the choice always has to be to serve others. And as long as that's in your heart, it doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, or Jewish, Italian, Catholic, and Protestant, or Muslim, or whatever you are. If you're making the right choices and you're a good firefighter, then you're on the right path. And we hope that courage and valor helps you, and we hope that pride and ownership helps you, and all those programs. And the view from 31,000 feet, as Rick and I kind of started this thing out with, and Rick was kind enough to let me come on today to talk to you. The view from 31,000 feet, guys, is great, and gals, and every day I think it's getting better. And the folks out there who would like you to believe that the world has fallen, they're just flat out wrong. The new guys coming in are smarter, faster, better. You have all your hair and teeth, so we're jealous of you. But we couldn't be prouder of you. And to all our guardsmen out there, and all our sailors and soldiers, and guys like my son, and Rick always lets me brag about my boy Dean, who's a pilot in the United States Navy. To all of you out there that are protecting this beautiful country, and to all of you out there that are thinking about joining either the fire service or the military to protect this beautiful country, we love you. And the view from 31,000 feet is we couldn't be prouder, and we couldn't be prouder that you let Rick and I and John and Bruno and all the rest of us kick around at your conferences, and you teach us so much. I mean, the Boston guys, to everybody in Boston, to Chief McCurtain and Dave Megert and Rick and Charlie and all the guys who I went buffing out riding with them for a couple of nights, Rick. So, to all the guys who let me teach and share with them and all they taught me. And, you want to see a squared away job, go to the Boston Fire Department. You want to see great firefighters, go hang out with the Boston firefighters. You want to see people of integrity, quality, character, just the most stand-up guys in America, go hang out in Boston. I got to tell you, and even, the weekend before the Super Bowl, and clearly they knew I was a Giants fan, didn't deter them 1 second from treating me as if I was a Jake for my whole life. And all you got to do, you want to get charged, go down the street, find the first house you see, walk in the door. If it isn't a great experience, go. Then you weren't looking, because somewhere in there you're going to find a guy who's going to make the right choice. He's going to sit down and talk to you, or gal, and your day is going to be better.
I gave it a pause. No, I gave it a pause here for a second. Where are we at time-wise, Bobby?
We are at 1 hour.
We're at 1 hour. Okay, so we need to close things out. That's what I was wondering. Let me see here. Got everything.
Anything coming up for you, Rick? Where are you going to be?
No, I just, not by the time this one makes, because we're about 3 weeks out with this one.
Okay.
What
I
was
want to do a quick wrap-up, and I'll turn it off?
Well, yeah, let's do that. And I wanted to plug FDIC real quick, and books and videos, and then kind of finish up, and I'll do the email thing and all that stuff.
Okay, so you're gonna close.
You're ready. You're ready.
I'm ready. In 3, 2, 1.
We've been visiting with Chief Bobby Halton, editor-in-chief from Fire Engineering Magazine, and a true fire service brother. And Bobby's been hitting on just so many. I wish we could do this for 8 hours, Bobby. It's just been. It's been great. We've got people looking forward to what's coming out, what's around the corner next with fire engineering. The magazine's looking great. The way it was just some of the way you redesigned it a little bit and changed some things. It's easy to move around in. Not that it hasn't been in the past, but it just keeps getting better. Which you would think, after 135 years.
131.
131. After 131 years, you would think that how many times can you change something and make it a little bit better? And it just keeps getting better. The books and videos. If you can't find a book, right, Bobby, or a video with fire engineering books and videos, then I don't know what I don't know what to tell you. If you can't find something there that's going to help you do your job better, then I don't know what to tell you. But FDIC's right around the corner. Bobby, what's the theme this year for FDIC before we finish out today?
Well, this year we're looking at real training, real results, and where leaders go to train. And just so you know, the 2 new shows have been approved. So we'll be doing fire engineering. We're going to be calling it Fireground Chicago, and Fireground Fort Worth are coming up. So Fireground Chicago will be happening in July, and we'll also have Fireground Fort Worth. So fire engineering is getting out there. We're going to have Fire Engineering's Fireground Chicago, Fire Engineering's Fireground Fort Worth, just little 2-day shows. So they're coming. The new redesign on the website is going to be happening any day now with the new microsite inside our site, and more training minutes. Remember, every week there's a new training minute goes up, and we'll be seeing a bunch more of those, and I will be uploading your video. So we're trying to keep pace with you. You guys are running us ragged, and
you know what? Tell them make it your homepage.
Well, we're actually the number 1 page right now in the fire industry. We're I hate to not to be bragging, but you know why? It's training.
Yes.
And it's people like Rick Lasky.
Well, but yeah, I appreciate that, Bobby. Thank you. But I do when I open up a computer, whether it's my laptop or the one here at my desk, the first page that comes up is fire engineering. That's my Chicago Sun-Times. That's my what I'm saying. That's my Dallas Morning News. When it pops up, I get caught up and I'm there and everything else. And Bobby, I can't thank you enough, buddy, for coming on today. And I know we're gonna get you on a couple more times to keep this going. I know I want to echo Chief Halton's marching orders to you earlier. If you picked up on it, keep the ceremonies going, the training, train on the real stuff, train on the stuff your people need to know. Like Bobby said, real training, the stuff that'll keep them alive and safe. I've kind of changed my thinking, Bobby. I used to tell people it's my job to make sure you go home at the end of your shift or the end of the call to your family. And I know you agree with this with the research you've been doing. I've changed that. It's no longer my job to make sure that they go home at the end of their shift or at the end of that call if they're volunteers, to make sure they go home at the end of their life, at the end of their career, you know what I'm saying, to their family. When they're done with this fire service, whether they choose to retire as a volley or a paid guy, those men and women need to be able to go home healthy and enjoy life. And that's I think we need to start thinking long range. You guys are doing it. Bobby, if anybody wanted to get a hold of you, would you be willing to shoot an email address out there for them?
Yeah, you bet. And Rick always laughs at me for this, but Penwell made my email Robert, ROBERTH, at Penwell, PENNWELL, so it's Penwell, PENNWELL.com. So Robert H at Penwell.com. And Rick always gives me a hard time.
Well, I remember when that first
only
came
my
out,
mom, when I'm in trouble, calls me Robert.
When that first came out, John calls me, goes, "All right, you got to send Bobby an email." I just did. You see, his email address is Robert A. He goes, "Come on, we got it. You do it. I'll do it first. You do it again, and we'll keep."
Yeah, and he told 10,000 of our closest friends to do the same.
And then you came over and egged my house for it, so I'm still scraping that off. But
you and John.
But that's Chief Halton's email address, Robert H at Penwell.com. You can always holler at me at Rick at PrideAndOwnership.com. Chief Halton, thanks once again, buddy. You are a true fire service brother. There's no way, Bobby, to tell you thanks for everything you're doing for the fire service, pal.
No,
it's absolutely incredible.
It's just an honor to have this opportunity, and I thank God every day for it. And I remember today's the first day of Lent, you guys, so.
It's, you know what? There it is.
Behave yourselves and
get
ready for Easter.
Job, man.
God bless.
Best job in the world. Thanks for joining us today, and as we always do when we close, be safe.